Here we go. This is the thigh. So when you think of the thigh, we want to group muscles of the thigh into three areas. The anterior, we would consider the quadriceps. So quadriceps. Okay, so that's group one in the anterior. In the posterior, we'd think hamstrings. Hamstrings. You can write and spell better than me, go right ahead. And in the medial side, we have the adductor group. So the adductor, A-D-D-U-C-T-O-R, adductor. Okay, so there are our three regions. So we have the anterior, the posterior, and the medial. We know we've got the quadriceps in the anterior, the hamstrings in the posterior, and the adductor in the medial. All right, so let's begin. In the quadriceps, we have 5 muscles. And I'm going to write them in this order because this order is actually the way that they're laid out in the leg. And you may find if there's something wrong in this, please tell me. Please email me. It's Y is JWEI, E is an elephant, I is an igloo, S is in Sam, Z is in zebra, at nwhealth.edu. I would love to know that I did something wrong. Please correct me, make it fixed. So let's begin. So I'm going to make the muscles red. I think muscles should be red. And in the quadricep region, we have 1, the rectus femoris. Rectus femoris. All right. 2. Think what's next. It starts with a V. Vastus intermedius. M-E-D-I-U-S. Got it? The third is going to be over here, 3, because it's off to the side. And think medial, right? Because we want on the medial side over here, medial. So we would be the what? Same, vastus medius. Vastus medius on the medial side. Now what would be right next to the vastus medius on the medial side? This sartorius. I'm going to make this number 5 because there's one more muscle on the other side. So sartorius, T-O-R-I-U-S, sartorius. Okay. And if we move to the lateral side, we have the 4th muscle, if you wanted to be in order, vastus, right? With all these vastus muscles. Vastus what? Well, if it's on the lateral side, it would be on the lateralis. L-I-S. Okay. So we have the quadricep group, the rectus femoris, vastus intermedius, the vastus medius, that's on the medial side. The vastus lateralis would be on the lateral side. And the sartorius, right? And what would be the artery that feeds these muscles? And that's going to be in purple. So that artery would be the femoral artery. And it's innervated by what? This is not rocket science in this one. The femoral, the 2/3 plus 1/3. I don't know why this pectineus. I need to find out why this was on that sheet in EUS. So I'm just going to put a little highlight on this right here because I'm not totally sure. If you know what's going on, let me know. Send me an email or call me. Adductor group. What are the adductor groups? The adductor groups, we need to think pectineus, right? Adductors. So I'm going to put 1. I try and keep these in order, right, of the way they're laid out in the leg. So P-E-C-T-I-N-E-U-S, pectineus. And then we would have 2, the adductor, D-D-U-C-T-O-R, brevis. It's a little guy. This. And 3 adductor what? If there's a short one, there's probably a longus. Got it, longus. And the 4th most posterior, superficial, superficial muscle, think you know it. It's the big one. It's the magnus, the adductor magnus. Now, my nerve landed right in the way. Now, there's a reason for this. Because there's a hamstrings head, right, of the adductor magnus. So I'm just going to put a little HH, hamstring head. But there's also an anterior head, an AH. Now, the hamstrings head really would be part of the hamstrings group. So I'm going to write that over here. I'm going to say the posterior head, also known as the hamstrings head. And what's that innervated by? This isn't rocket science. It's the sciatic. S-C-I-A-T-I-C. Sciatic. And we're looking at the innervation of the adductor magnus, which my little nerve guy here needs to move over a little bit. We need a little room. And it is starts with an O, obturator. Okay. So we've got that. All of this is fed by the femoral artery. Okay. So last but definitely not least, we have the hamstrings group. So what do we have in the hamstrings group? I think BSS. That's what I always think of, BSS. So if I were to put that down, BSS, what would you think? You would think biceps femoris, the long head, and the short head. Right? Long head, short head. And then we have the semi-membranous. Again, this is trying to keep them in order, right, of the way that they are laid out in the leg. So semi-membranous, semi-membranous, and whoops, I shouldn't have had the extra S there. Semitendinosus. Semitendinosus. Okay. So we have those. And what is this innervated by? Come on. This is the not rocket science one. Sciatic. Okay. So that's the whole thigh. So let's just see if you can regurgitate it. Can you bring it back? We're talking about the thigh. We're actually, in this example, we're looking at the left leg. So we're on the left leg of the thigh, and we're going to think anteriorly, the most frontmost, right? We have what? The quadriceps group. So inside that quadriceps group, you should be thinking the quad is 5. There's 5 muscles in here. 1, rectus femoris. Rectus femoris, most outermost muscle. Number 2, the vastus intermedius. So we've got 3 vasties here, right? Vastus intermedius, and then we have a medial and a lateral side. So vastus medius, and a vastus lateralis. And the final of the quadricep group is the sartorius, which is the only one that crosses the knee, right? Goes across the knee joint, sartorius. And this is all fed by what artery? If you're saying femoral, you are correct. The femoral artery, and we also have the femoral nerve, right? Then innervated by the femoral nerve. That's what's innervating all of those muscles. I'm going to skip that 2/3 and 1/3 pectineus. 1/3 goes to the pectineus because I'm not quite sure what's going on there. So next group, adductors. If we're on the medial side of the left leg, we have the adductor group. Now there's 4 muscles in the adductor group. Those 4 muscles, just thinking of, so the first letter in each is P, B, L, M. I'm going to write that down because maybe something will come to me. So I'm going to go with a nice aqua, and we're going to say P. That's not even close to a P. P, B, L, M. And the reason I'm doing that is we have one is the pectineus, so that's the innermost. We're going from inner to outer. That's just the way I chose to do it. So then we have the B, the adductor brevis, the adductor longus, B, B, L. And if you were going to guess what M was, you would say adductor magnus. Now the magnus has what? It has 2 heads. It has a hamstring head, and it has a anterior head. And I didn't write that in the first go around, so I'm going to add that in right now. We have an anterior. This is the worst spelling ever. R-I-O-R, head. Innervated by what? He's the smooth obturator. That's right, the obturator nerve on the medial side. Now, if we go back to the posterior side of the left leg, thinking hamstrings group, BSS was the letters, first letter of the muscles, BSS. So I'd have biceps femoris, very good. And there's a long head and a short head, all innervated by what nerve? Sciatic nerve, very good. And then semimembranous, going from innermost to outermost, and then semitendinous. So biceps femoris, semimembranous, semitendinous, and all innervated by the sciatic nerve. That's the overview of the thigh. And so I'm going to wrap this up, and we'll see how we did.